New mask guidance, mixed responses. The CDC is advising fully vaccinated people do not need to wear masks outdoors and can avoid wearing them indoors in most places. Reports that Colonial Pipeline paid the hackers $5 million in cryptocurrency is raising concerns about cybersecurity. The head of the Department of Homeland Security Cybersecurity Agency warns more cyber attacks may be coming. And the second largest teachers union in the U.S. wants schools to reopen this fall. The union will spend millions of dollars to make it a reality. Tune in to Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. New mask guidance, mixed responses. Let's take a look. But before we get into all that, a quick update about the pipeline, in particular the cybersecurity concerns. The head of the Department of Homeland Security Cybersecurity Agency warns more cyber attacks may be coming. Acting Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Director Brandon Wales said Thursday that is true when asked if more attacks on U.S. critical infrastructure would come. Senator Rob Portman said this is potentially the most substantial and damaging attack on U.S. critical infrastructure ever. It shows that cyber attacks can have tangible, real-world consequences. The FBI earlier this week confirmed that a hacking group known as DarkSide was behind the attack. Reports that Colonial Pipeline paid the hackers $5 million in cryptocurrency is fueling concerns. Some believe this will only encourage hackers to launch more attacks in the future. There's been over 100 major attacks in the last 10 years. There are no major legislation offering full protection to U.S. companies. Cybersecurity is becoming a top priority for the Biden administration. Biden signed an executive order Wednesday that he says will improve the nation's cybersecurity. It seeks to better equip federal agencies with cybersecurity tools. It also encourages the private sector, which operates much of the nation's critical infrastructure, to improve its own cybersecurity standards. Under the new order, a system will be enabled on federal networks to continually monitor and respond to cyber threats. It also creates a cybersecurity safety review board. It'll meet after major cyber attacks to analyze and make recommendations going forward. Federal officials are studying how to prevent such attacks in the future against critical infrastructure. A bipartisan group in the House introduced a bill on May 12th to send money to state and local governments to bolster their computer security. Lawmakers are suggesting more cybersecurity safeguards need to be in place. Ranking member of the House Committee on Homeland Security, Representative John Katko, said in a letter to Wales, these VADR assessments have proven effective at identifying a wide range of potential vulnerabilities within pipeline systems, some of which have been publicly distilled. Adding better understanding common security flaws and common misconfiguration issues is in everyone's best interests, and these aggregated insights will help enhance national resilience. For this reason, MyCISA appropriations request sent last week proposed an increase of 50% for the Infrastructure Analysis Mission in the NRMC's budget. He goes on to note, now in the wake of the Colonial Pipeline ransomware incident, ensuring the success, growth, and effectiveness of the pipeline cybersecurity initiative is more important than ever before. The pipeline shutdown sparked gas shortages across several states, with several governors declaring states of emergencies. Colonial Pipeline spans over 5,000 miles from Texas to New Jersey. It's responsible for about half of the East Coast's fuel supply, transporting roughly 2.5 million barrels of gasoline and other fuels daily, and hauls more than 100 million gallons of fuel a day from Gulf Coast refineries to major hubs up the coast. By Wednesday, the national average price already hit its highest point in 6.5 years, with a gallon of gas averaging $3. Gas prices were already on the way up before a cyber attack crippled the top pipeline in the country. On average, fuel prices rose 60% over the past year, but with what's just happened, it's making things worse. According to tracking firm GasBuddy, as of Thursday, more gas stations seeing a gas shortage. More than 15,000 stations were out of gas in the eastern U.S. While it has eased somewhat for some states, it's worsened for others. Analyst with GasBuddy Patrick Dehane wrote on Twitter, people in the worst-hit states, such as the Carolinas, Virginia, and Georgia, could see up to 14 days of trouble buying fuel. Colonial expects to get the bulk of the operations restored by the end of the week, with at least one major portion, which runs between North Carolina and Maryland, back online by Monday. Now let's turn to masks. The CDC is advising that fully vaccinated people do not need to wear masks outdoors and can avoid wearing them indoors in most places. The updated guidance means Americans are headed toward a return to normal, but some are questioning the timing. Senator Marsha Blackburn wrote on Twitter, "Why today?" saying the science hasn't changed. Representative Jim Jordan seems to think it's a distraction, writing, "Lines to get gas, bad jobs report, Israel under attack, and suddenly President Biden says he might let you take your mask off. How convenient." CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky announced Thursday anyone who is fully vaccinated can participate in indoor and outdoor activities, large or small, without wearing a mask or physically distancing. Adding, if you are fully vaccinated, you can start doing the things that you had stopped doing because of the pandemic. The CDC also said fully immunized people will not need to physically distance in most places, but vaccinated people still need to follow federal, state, and local laws about masking and social distancing. Fully vaccinated means 2 weeks after getting the second shot of either Pfizer or Moderna or their single shot Johnson & Johnson. Biden called it a great day for America, saying if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask and you can shake hands. Kentucky's governor called the CDC's announcement the news that we have all been waiting for. And what about the unvaccinated? Walensky sent a warning to them, saying you remain at risk of mild or severe illness, of death, or of spreading the disease to others, adding you should still mask and you should get vaccinated right away. The CDC lists large outdoor events like parades, live performances, or sporting events as the riskiest activities for unvaccinated people. And President Biden weighed in as well, writing on Twitter, "The rule is now simple. Get vaccinated or wear a mask until you do. The choice is yours." Arizona Representative Andy Biggs fired back on Twitter, saying the choice is yours sounds an awful lot like a threat, Joe. You have no business issuing fear-based ultimatums to the American people. They have the freedom to choose whatever they please, vaccine or not. But what about children? Pfizer was recently approved for emergency use in children aged 12 to 15 to get the shot. According to the CDC, those younger than 12 should still wear masks. So what about the outdoors? Walensky said on PBS, outdoors right, so the same strategies really apply, meaning children should still wear masks. The Biden administration has been pushing for more Americans to get vaccinated. Biden laid out steps earlier this week, including free or discounted Uber and Lyft rides for people traveling to get their shots. The White House stated the feature will launch in the next 2 weeks and run until July 4th. That's in reference to Biden's goal to have 70% of the U.S. adult population to have one vaccine shot by Independence Day. Other steps include opening up vaccination sites on community college campuses, and some states are offering prize money for getting the shot. The governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, on Thursday announced an incentive for adults in the state to get the vaccine. People there have a shot at winning $1 million in a lottery if they get at least one dose. But that's not all. DeWine is also offering the chance for teenagers to win a scholarship if they're vaccinated. The money for the lottery comes from federal virus relief funds. DeWine said the portal to register for the scholarship prize will open on May 18th, and the first drawing for adults will be on May 26th. He said there will be a winner of the $1 million prize each Wednesday for 5 weeks. To win, you have to be an Ohio resident and be vaccinated at the time of the drawing. The updated advice is a major step toward returning to pre-pandemic life, though the agency still recommends vaccinated people wear masks while traveling and in places like hospitals and doctors' offices. Officials in several states said they would immediately review existing mask requirements. The turnaround comes just 16 days after the CDC issued another piece of revised guidance. Those guidelines left many restrictions in place for vaccinated people. The CDC came under fire in March for initially discouraging immunized grandparents to travel to visit loved ones. The CDC had also faced criticism, even from public health officials, that it's been too cautious. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said the new guidance was based on a steep reduction in cases, expansion of vaccines to younger people, and vaccine efficacy. While Dr. Fauci was just recently advising double masking, he told CBS Thursday morning, if you are vaccinated and you're outside, put aside your mask. You don't have to wear it. The new guidance says vaccinated Americans can resume all travel and do not need to quarantine after international trips. Most travel settings, such as buses, trains, subways, and healthcare settings, still require masks, regardless of vaccine status. More than half of the states already fully opened. So how do the states compare? New York City and Florida seem to be taking polar approaches. Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis will pardon anyone who is charged for violating mask mandates or virus rules in the state. He told Fox's Laura Ingraham the penalties are a total overreach. He says these measures should be advisory, not punitive. He also doubled down on the state banning vaccine passports. Cruise companies have been pressuring DeSantis about rescinding the vaccine passport ban. The CDC requires 95% of cruise passengers and 98% of crew members to be vaccinated, saying the cruise ships have to embark on 60 to 90 days worth of preparation. DeSantis says he's not backing down, adding that cruise companies will find other areas to launch ships. He said Thursday, the problem is the CDC, the problem is not Florida. He calls the CDC's requirements as illogical, saying, oh, by the way, if you're sunbathing, you have to make sure they're wearing a mask while they're sunbathing. Are you kidding me? That is an absolute farce. So we are challenging the authority of the CDC to be involved to this extent. New York, meanwhile, is taking things slow. Despite the new recommendations, the governor says the state's mask mandate will remain in place until he has a chance to review the CDC's guidance with state health officials, along with partners and experts from surrounding states. New York is not alone. New Jersey, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. are also taking the new guidance with a grain of salt. The mask mandate stays in those states until the states say otherwise. As for California, Governor Gavin Newsom said the state would get rid of the outdoor mask mandate on June 15th. That's the same day the state plans to fully reopen. The state had some of the strictest lockdown measures during the pandemic. Now, speaking of states reopening, what about schools? The second largest teachers union in the U.S. wants schools to reopen this fall. The head of American Federation of Teachers, Randy Weingarten, declared the union's stance in a speech on Thursday, saying schools must reopen in the fall for in-person learning, adding schools must be open fully and safely 5 days a week. She said her union's campaign this year is to get everyone back to school. They will invest $5 million for the effort. She goes on to say, school is where children learn. It's where they work together and play together. It's where they form relationships and learn resilience. She said 3 million moms quit their jobs during the pandemic, and the United States will not be fully back until schools fully reopen. The union has over 1.7 million members. They issued a poll recently that found 73% of parents are comfortable with in-person learning for their child this fall. And some states are taking a different approach. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster issued an executive order on Tuesday. He allows parents, not schools, to decide if their children will wear masks at school. But what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and have a wonderful weekend.